Dragon Ball Legends has seen hundreds of releases over its 7-year history, and naturally some of those releases are going to be pretty controversial. I mean, at this point it feels like every major release gets the community going. So in today's video, I'm gonna go through the most polarizing units in the game's history, and at the end of the video, I'm gonna crown the most controversial unit in Dragon Ball Legends history. And we're gonna start with LF Vegito Blue. Listen, saying a unit is controversial doesn't exclusively mean they're good or broken, but still, I had to include this guy. If I'm going to be honest, I think he's one of the most influential units ever released in this game. Let me explain. The way this Vegito was designed influenced some of the most broken units in the history of Dragon Ball Legends. And all the evidence is in his kit. Most of us know what this guy did and what he was good at. His main form of attack was to combo you until you grew old and died from old age. And if that didn't work, all that comboing would certainly guarantee a rush at the time. I say at the time because his combos were so broken that they literally changed how rushes worked after. But here comes the influence part, because what I like to call the children of Vegito took his principle of rush farming to an entire new level. I'm sure you're familiar with these units: Green Vegito, Transforming SSJ3, and Purple Vegeta. Now these guys all had the same job, and that's to combo for as long as possible to kill an opponent and potentially draw enough Dragon Balls for a rush, even if some of them aren't as good as the others. Vegeta. Still, all three of these units I think stem from their father, Vegito. And that's why Vegito is the first unit on this list, because I think his design created some of the most toxic units in the history of Legends. And let's be honest, he definitely riled up the community. But someone who didn't need any other units to get on this list is the recently Zenkai'd Red Cooler. Hear me out, hear me out. Cooler had some of the most potential in the history of this game, but unfortunately, even post Zenkai, he was never able to live up to it. When Cooler first dropped, it was almost terrifying to see him in PvP. I mean, on paper, he looks crazy. I mean, he walked down Super Saiyans like Prime King Vaughn, and he was a lock-in demon. He was able to lock you in for 2 counts, get health back, restore ki, do 10% more damage for 15 timer counts, destroy all of the opponent's special arts, and reduce their ki by 40, just for using a strike. This Cooler was moving different at his peak. So you may be wondering, sure, he's a good unit, but what about that makes him controversial? There's nothing divisive about him being good. Well, he was good for about 5 minutes, because Toshi, in his infinite wisdom, decided to drop one of, if not the most broken units in the history of the game, Beast Gohan. And yes, there's some stuff in Cooler's kit to help him with type disadvantage, but come on, type neutral is not going to help you against the devil of Legends. I mean, what Beast Gohan did to the rest of the meta was unspeakable. Now just imagine what he does to a red unit. Oh, and speaking of Legends devils, UG4 is another one. While Vegito started an entire genre of toxic units, and Cooler fell off after being extremely dominant for 5 seconds, UG4 is even more divisive than both of them, in my opinion, because he took the most annoying parts of the most broken units at the time and made them even more toxic. He had AoE greens, a unique gauge that took from Gogeta and Gohan, which is to this day one of the most annoying mechanics in the game, and on top of that, he had a tap action on his ultimate that made him vaporize any unit in front of him, type advantage or not. And like, let's be real, why is UG4 being used to this day and doing passable damage? For a unit that's almost 1.5 years old now, that's insane. But you know what else is crazy? The fact that you haven't liked and subscribed yet. I'm looking at you. Yeah, you. Do it. Alright, cool. Back to the video. Imagine for a second that a hype and anticipated anniversary unit comes out so underbaked that people get a hashtag trending trying to get him buffed. Well, now you can stop imagining, because that literally happened. Godku's initial release was one of the biggest failures in Dragon Ball Legends history. I mean, the Legends devs must have made this dude blindfolded while using their feet to code, because God, he was ass. And sorry for my French, but talking about how they did Godku really gets me going. And yes, eventually they redeemed him with his plat and made him genuinely good and useful, but the damage had been done. It wasn't like a Go Frieza situation. They just completely ruined his initial release and squandered it. It took months for them to give him his platinum equip. And it was kind of sad too, because most of the community leading up to the 6-year anniversary predicted that he would be a headliner for it. Now, while Legends did surprise us with 2 of the best headliners in the history of Legends, the community predicting Godku to be the headliner has to show you what the sentiment around him was at the time. Now, before we get to number 1 on the list, I have 3 honorable mentions that were nominated by you guys. I posted on my community tab asking you guys who you thought the most controversial unit in Dragon Ball Legends was, and you guys gave me some pretty good answers. I'm going to rate each of these units with 5 stars based on how controversial they were. First is Go Frieza, specifically pre-Zenkai. I can agree with this to an extent because Go Frieza wasn't nearly as good pre-buff, but I think the fact that they did end up buffing him so quickly, especially to the extent that they did, justifies it. Also, they definitely weren't nearly Godku level bad at release, so I'll give this take about 3.5 stars. Next up is Metal Cooler. I'll just say it straight up, this is a 2-star take. I mean, there's definitely some recency bias here. This unit isn't an anniversary unit, it isn't a fest unit, or a hyped release. Just post-Annie filler. And sure, he was disappointing, but he was still usable in PvP. Raton. Easy to say, this is like a 4.5 star take. Gohan was cancerous and was the best unit in the game all the way up until UG4 dropped. The stuff he could do was insanely oppressive, and to this day he's one of the most broken units ever. And speaking of broken, time to talk about what, in my opinion, is the most controversial, broken, and straight up evil unit to date. Majin Vegeta. This shouldn't be a surprise to any of you. This guy ran the game when he dropped, and to this day is still one of the better units in the game. Which, mind you, he released almost a full year ago. I mean, this guy did everything Raton and UG4 did, but amplified it tenfold. It's really surprising coming from Legends too, because they have a track record of absolutely fumbling Vegeta units. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention the mass countering of Majin Vegeta, started by my friend Slack. If it weren't for this and the general mass hate of the unit, I don't think he would be on this list at all. And so that's the end of the list. From broken and oppressive units to units that just fell flat. I feel like we've pretty much covered it all. But seeing as the current state of the game is, well, dog shit, and knowing the track record of the Legends devs, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up riling up the community again with some crazy release. But until then, I'll be playing Squadro because Legends is ass. Hey, Shade here. Have you ever asked yourself which is better, Dokkan or Legends? Well, me too. And I answered that question in this video right here. So, go check it out. Click it. Why are you still here?